Dynasty, part of the education department here, and our first experiment is about this thing. Does anyone know what it is? You're right, it is a volcano. Now, have you got to see a volcano in person? I haven't. But I've seen some things on YouTube and on National Geographic and such. So, let's talk about this volcano. What do they do? You're right, they make things blow up. Now, how do we do this? How does a volcano explode? Well, we're going to take our hands, and we are going to make these our plates. So, to create a volcano, you can have two types. One that is underwater, and one that's on land. So, we have our continental plate and our oceanic plate, and they're moving, and when they hit each other, the oceanic one goes down, the continental goes up, and this creates a volcano on land. Like this one right here. Now, the other one, you take an oceanic and an oceanic, and when those two plates meet, they force down, and that is how you get your underwater volcano. Now, my friends, you can also create a mountain this way. If you take your continental, and they move, they hit, they push up towards the sky and create your mountain. So, when our continental and oceanic plates collide, they create a volcano, and here's the inside of what it looks like. So, we have this lovely magma chamber, and it bubbles and bubbles and bubbles, and it forces all the magma up, and out down our volcano, turning it into lava. Now, do you think my friends at the museum allow me to have lava? No, I'm not allowed to have the lava here. So I had to do some research and create something else to get our explosion. So what Miss Dynasty has right here is baking powder and baking soda. We are going to use baking powder and we're going to test baking soda to see which one creates the best reaction. We want the best reaction to blow up our volcano. So what we have here is baking powder. Baking powder has sodium bicarbonate in it along with a couple other ingredients. Miss Dynasty has this, here you go. So Miss Dynasty's gonna pour it into our container, and from what we can see, it's kind of chunky, it's like flour. It sticks together really well. Now, we're also going to use white vinegar. Now, my friends, this is something your parents might have at home in their kitchen. They can use it for cooking and cleaning. So when we pour these two things together, we are going to see what the reaction is. Here we go. Okay, my friends, it looks like we are creating lots of little bubbles, which is letting go of carbon dioxide. And if you listen really closely, it sounds like you've just opened a bottle of pop. It has that fizziness, but it's also dying down really quickly. It did not give us a mess or a very loud sound. So, that was cool, but let's also try our baking soda. Now, baking soda is pure sodium bicarbonate. Unlike baking powder, which has the added ingredients, this one is solely its own. So, here you go, Miss Dynasty. She's going to pour some into there, and we're going to see what the differences are. Okay. And as a reminder, we like messy science here. It's okay if it's over your tables and everywhere. It's easy to clean up. Okay, so my friends, here is our baking soda. And what we can already tell is it's already thinner than our baking powder. It has more of a consistency of fine grains, kind of like salt. So we're going to pour it into here. And we're going to add our white vinegar again. Okay, and look at that, my friends. This reaction was much faster. It creates more bubbles. You still have your fizzy sound. And it looks like it'll keep going on for longer. So, which do you guys like? The baking powder or baking soda? Baking soda? Okay. So, Miss Dynasty, I think they've said baking soda. So, we're going to move our volcano on over here. And Miss Dynasty has already placed our test tube in here. So, Miss Dynasty, if you would like to add the baking soda to the cup, and then, my friends, to make it be like true lava, since I can't have real lava here, what color do you think we should add to it? Red? Okay. Miss Dynasty, they would also like us to add red dye. So once we have everything in here, Miss Dynasty's going to add our red dye. Okay, go ahead, Miss Dynasty. And then Miss Dynasty, would you like to do the honors of exploding the volcano? Okay, here we go, my friends. Whoa! And there you have it, my friends. You can create your very own volcano at home with just some baking soda and some white vinegar. And if you're feeling really spicy, pick up some food dye.
Okay, friends, our next experiment is called elephant toothpaste. I'm going to ask you why at the end it's called elephant toothpaste. So to get started, we're going to use some ingredients you might have at home and you might not. If you have these at home, great, you could try this later. If you don't have them at home, that's okay. You can watch what happens now. So our first ingredient today is hydrogen peroxide. Now we have this fancy big bottle of hydrogen peroxide that is used at hair salons to make people's hair a lighter color. You might have hydrogen peroxide at home that looks like this in this little brown bottle. Does anybody have this at home? Great, I have some too. I keep it with my first aid. This helps me clean out my cuts. Does anybody else use it when they get a cut at home? Wonderful, and when you put it on your cut, what happens? That's right, it creates bubbles. So we have a large bottle of hydrogen peroxide that's much stronger than the version you use at home. So I'm going to have Miss Dynasty pour some hydrogen peroxide into our flask, and she's going to pour about a cup, which is roughly 257 milliliters for those at home. And then after Dynasty is done pouring, we're going to add another ingredient that you probably have at home. Does anybody know what this is a bottle of? That's right, this is just dish soap. So Miss Dynasty is going to add a big squeeze of dish soap to our hydrogen peroxide. Thank you, Miss Dynasty. Not only did it turn it blue, do we start to see some bubbles forming? We have a few bubbles, but this is a really cool, messy reaction. So we want to try and make it messier. But before we do that, I think we should add some colors. So today, we are going to add a little bit of red and a little bit of blue. Now my friends at home, when I mix red and blue, what color am I going to make? That's right, we're going to make purple, one of the secondary colors. So Miss Dynasty added some red, I added some blue. If we give it a swirl, we have a very dark purple. You'll get to see a lighter version of it in just a minute. So we have hydrogen peroxide, we have soap, and we have some food coloring. And do we have some bubbles? We have a few bubbles, but this reaction's not happening fast enough for us. So we're going to add a catalyst. A catalyst in chemistry is something that speeds up a reaction or makes it happen quicker. So we have 3 tablespoons of warm water. And we are going to add something called instant dry yeast. Now some of you might have this at home. You use it for making bread or other baking. And yeast is actually a bacteria. So when we add it to the water, it kind of wakes it up. So it's ready to do its thing. So Miss Dynasty is going to give our catalyst, which is warm water and instant dry yeast, a stir to wake up that bacteria. And in just a minute, friends, we are going to add our catalyst to our hydrogen peroxide, soap, and food dye to see if we can create a quicker reaction. Okay, my friends at home, are you ready to see what we can make with this? Miss Dynasty, are you ready to pour our catalyst into our solution?
Yes.
Okay, friends, here we go. So she's adding the catalyst, and very quickly, you can see it foam up and lots of bubbles. And it's actually kind of warm too, because it's exothermic, meaning it's releasing heat. So boys and girls, earlier I asked you, why is this called elephant toothpaste? Do you think you have a guess why it's called elephant toothpaste now? That's right, because it's kind of foamy like toothpaste, but it's a large amount, like what an elephant might need. Thank you so much for watching Elephant Toothpaste. We're about to do our third and noisiest experiment.
Hey guys, you ready for the third part of our experiment? Awesome. We're going to talk about rockets. Now, rockets generally made of rocket fuel. That way they can fight the force of gravity, get through our atmosphere, and make it out into space. However, they don't let me have real rocket fuel here. So instead, I'm going to use two different ingredients, some we've seen before and some new ones as well, and we're going to make our own homemade version of rockets. You might have some of these at home. If you do, look around for them. If not, great news is you get to watch us do it instead. So, first thing I'm going to grab is our beaker. Now, in our beaker, we have some sort of liquid. Miss Dynasty, does this have any odor to it? No? Okay. Miss Susanna, does it have any color to it?
Nope.
All right, so no odor, no color. It's probably water. Good old H2O. The second ingredient we're going to have are these very tiny little white tablets. One more time, does it have an odor to it?
No.
All right, any color to it?
Nope.
Nope. These might be hiding in your parents' medicine cabinet. These are great for when you have upset tummy. These are Alka-Seltzer. So the great thing is that these are going to make bubbles as well. You ready for me to demonstrate? Perfect. So we're going to take our Alka-Seltzer tablet. We're going to drop it into our beaker. Let's see how big of a mess or noise we can make. You ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, so we can see we've got some bubbles in there. Definitely making some good bubble noises, but not a lot of mess, not a lot of noise, not a lot of chaos. So let's step it up a little bit. I have on the table these super teeny tiny little containers. Actually, old film canisters from the old 80s. That's okay, we reuse them nowadays. So what we're going to do is, once again, we're going to combine water, our Alka-Seltzer, but we're going to close the entire environment. So the bubbles won't have a place to escape. So they're going to build and build and build and build until they can't contain themselves any longer, and they're going to kapow! Explode into rockets. Now, I could do the rockets in here, but I feel like the ceiling's kind of low. Do you think there's a better place in the museum that we could go launch rockets really, really high? Yeah? How about Adventure City? In fact, I'll meet you guys there. Hey guys, thanks for joining me in Adventure City. Now, before we launch our rockets, one more safety disclaimer, because that's always the most important thing. If you're going to choose to do any of our science experiments today, make sure you ask your parents' permission and make sure everything is done under adult supervision. That way everything is done as safely as possible. Now, for our rockets, the second thing we're going to need is we're going to need to put on our safety ear protection. So, if you're watching on your computer, now's a good time to turn down the volume. Otherwise, your safety ear protocol. Your hands out in front, palms facing your head, place them over your ears. Ta-da! Safety ear protection. Now, I think, astronauts, are you guys ready to launch our rockets?
Yeah, ready.
Now, just like all good science experiments, we are going to do our best, but there's always a margin for error. So, I'm going to have you guys count down from 10 with me for our rocket launch, but don't be worried if we get to 1 and the rockets aren't launching. They're just taking their time. Just like in science experiments, not everything is 100% perfect. Are you ready, astronaut Kelsey?
Ready.
Are you ready, astronaut Susanna? All right, guys, let's go ahead and get our countdown started. We're going to start at 10. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Any minute now. Which one do you think will be first? The middle one. The one that's leaking.
Whoa!
So it might not work because there's an air hole in it. So if the air is escaping, will it launch? Probably not, or not very high. But that's